Chapter 1, The Trauma. It happened so fast that she couldn't believe it was real. One moment, Samantha was walking home from work, and the next, she was being dragged into an alley by a man with a knife. He held her there for what felt like an eternity, threatening her, hurting her, and violating her in ways that she couldn't even begin to describe. And when he was finally finished, he left her there, broken and bleeding. Samantha didn't know how she managed to get up, but somehow, she did. She stumbled her way home, shaking and sobbing, and collapsed onto her bed. For weeks after the attack, Samantha was a shell of herself. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't stop the nightmares that plagued her every night. She felt like her life was over, like she would never be able to move past the trauma that had been inflicted upon her. Chapter 2, Seeking Help. It was her best friend, Jessica, who finally convinced Samantha to seek help. Jessica had been there for her since the attack, listening to her, comforting her, and doing everything she could to support her. One day, Jessica sat Samantha down and said, "You need to talk to someone, Sam. You can't keep living like this." Samantha knew that Jessica was right. She needed help, but she didn't know where to start. She didn't want to talk to a stranger, didn't want to relive the trauma over and over again. But Jessica was persistent, and eventually, Samantha agreed to see a therapist. Chapter 3, The Healing Process. Therapy was hard, but it was also the best thing that had ever happened to Samantha. For the first time since the attack, she felt like she had someone on her side, someone who understood what she was going through. She talked about the attack, the pain, the fear, and the anger. She talked about how it had affected her life, her relationships, and her sense of self. And slowly but surely, she started to heal. The nightmares became less frequent, the panic attacks less intense. She started sleeping again, eating again, and even going out with friends again. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way. But with the help of her therapist, her friends, and her own determination, Samantha started to rebuild her life. Chapter 4, Facing the Past. As Samantha started to heal, she knew that there was one more thing she had to do. She had to face her attacker. It was something that had been gnawing at her from the moment she woke up in that alley. She needed to know who he was, to see his face, and to confront him. With the help of a private investigator, Samantha was able to track down the man who had attacked her. She sat down with the police, and they went over the evidence, piecing together the case against him. It was hard, and it was terrifying, but it was also empowering. Samantha felt like she was finally taking control of her life, like she was no longer a victim. Chapter 5, Moving Forward. The trial was long and grueling, but in the end, justice was served. The man who had attacked Samantha was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. It was a bittersweet victory, but it was also a turning point for Samantha. She realized that she had survived something that could have destroyed her, and that she was stronger than she had ever thought possible. She started volunteering at a local women's shelter, offering support and comfort to other survivors of sexual assault. She became an advocate for victims' rights, speaking out about the need for better prevention and support services. And she started to live again. She went back to work, started dating again, and even took up a new hobby, painting. It wasn't always easy, and there were still moments when the trauma threatened to overwhelm her. But she knew that she had come too far to give up now. Chapter 6, Finding Peace. Years after the attack, Samantha found herself standing on a beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. She felt a sense of peace that she had never thought possible, a sense of calm that had eluded her for so long. It wasn't that she had forgotten what had happened to her, or that she had magically healed all her wounds. But she had learned to live with the trauma, to accept it as a part of her story, but not the whole of it. She had found a way to move forward, to find joy and happiness in a life that had once seemed so dark and hopeless. And as she stood there, watching the sunset, she knew that she had overcome the trauma, that she had summoned the courage to heal and move forward with her life.